All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, there's no sugarcoating the fact that the New York Jets are having themselves another bad season. The Jets are the only team in the NFL who has still not won a game so far here in 2025. And it also wouldn't be the Jets if their team owner, Woody Johnson, didn't do or say something stupid. Now, yesterday, Johnson decided that it was time for him to publicly criticize the Jets starting quarterback, Justin Fields. Now, Johnson's assessment of Fields was that quote, it's hard when you have a quarterback with a rating that he's got. I mean, he has the ability, but something just is not jiving. You have to play consistently at the position. And that's what we're trying to do for the remainder of the season. End quote. Now, was Woody Johnson totally wrong in his assessment in regards to Justin Fields? Absolutely not. But why take it upon yourself if you're Woody Johnson to air your dirty laundry and also pile on to what has been a train wreck of a season. Now, are the Jets about to bench Justin Fields in favor of veteran quarterback Tyrod Taylor? Um, Aaron Glenn, the Jets head coach, is keeping it close to the chest. But if you told me right now that Tyrod Taylor would be starting this Sunday for the Jets when they take on the Cincinnati Bengals, I would not be surprised. But nonetheless, all of these are conversations that should be kept in house if you are the Jets. Now, as a team owner of the New York Jets, Johnson is within his rights if he wants to be critical of this team. But it's not as if Johnson has a stellar resume for himself as a Jets team owner. And usually, typically, the teams with owners who make comments like this, they're really not successful. Okay. And with that said, Johnson has not exactly been the most even keeled person in regards to his temperament during his stewardship of the Jets. I mean, just look at last year after the Jets went overseas to Europe and lost to the Minnesota Vikings after a 2-3 start. He decided that it was time for him to pull the plug on Robert Saleh as his head coach. He was looking to inspire his team, and of course, the Jets just went into a tailspin from that standpoint. Reportedly, Johnson has over sometimes taken advice from his sons as far as players based on their Madden rating. Okay, you think about it as a whole with Woody Johnson. I've said this before, and I will say it again. And I think this is the ultimate example of how things have been for Woody Johnson. Since he purchased the Jets back in 2000, they've only had 9 winning seasons, 6 playoff appearances, and 1 division title, and 0 Super Bowl championships that they can claim. All of that falls into the lap of the guy who's signing in checks. Not only that, it goes a little bit further because on Johnson's watch, the Jets have employed 23 different starting quarterbacks since he's been there in 2000. So, with that said, that basically means you're averaging almost a new quarterback every year. Okay, 9 different head coaches. So, that averages out to a head coach almost every 3 years. 9 different general managers. Same thing, almost averages out to a new GM every 3 years. And as I always say, these are the three most important positions in your organization if you want to be a successful NFL franchise: quarterback, head coach, and general manager. And with that said, you cannot have a consistent turnover at all three of those positions if you want to win. And again, these miscues, because again, Woody Johnson is the guy who's hiring these general managers. And of course, the general managers bring in their head coach, and GM and head coach work together to find quarterback. But nonetheless, Woody Johnson is the guy that brings these people in. And since he's the one who's signing the checks, at the end of the day, this is an organizational failure, and it starts with one Robert Wood Johnson the fourth. Okay, the Jets have somehow, and this is very eye-opening for me, They have somehow found a way to not make the postseason since 2010. And that is extremely hard to do in the current National Football League. Why? Because since that time, we have seen both the regular season and postseason be expanded. So more opportunities for teams to get to the postseason, and the Jets still can't do it. Now, New York is well on their way to their 10th consecutive losing season and their sixth straight year in which they're going to lose at least 10 games, which is not good. I mean, you think about it 2 and 14 in 2020, 4 and 13 in 2021. 7 and 10, 2022 and 2023, and then of course 5 and 12 last year. And at this rate, if the Jets find a way at the rate that they're going to win 2 games over their final 10, I'd be hard pressed to believe it. Okay. I said this before, and I'll say it again. This is a fact finding mission as far as the season goes for Aaron Glenn as the head coach of the Jets. And I think with Woody Johnson's comments yesterday, he clearly has not soured on Aaron Glenn, which is a good indication that Glenn is going to be back in the saddle for this team for 2026. It's a fact finding mission, and he's looking to find the people that he's going to stick with long term, or going to stick with him long term in Florham Park as far as getting this thing potentially turned around. But nonetheless, the way that things are going this season for the Jets, I truly do feel that their starting quarterback for next year is not on the team at this moment. And it's one of those where we're gonna have to see if the Jets are going to attempt to fix this issue through the draft, via a trade, or free agency. The way I see it working out for the Jets, I think they're definitely going to try to go at this thing through the draft. Yes, you gave Justin Fields some guaranteed money, but you also only gave him a 2-year deal. And at the rate that things are going, clearly he is not going to be your long term solution at the quarterback position. But when it's all said and done, the Jets are going to continue to have themselves a Woody Johnson problem. And as long as Woody Johnson continues to call the shots and sign the checks for Gang Green, you really can't be optimistic. Again, I cannot harp on this enough. It's going to be 15 straight years without the postseason, not without winning a postseason game, without getting there. Okay. And you cannot gloss over that with this New York Jets team. Again, like I said before, Justin Fields has not played well. This team offensively has not played well. I mean, to give you an idea of how bad it is for the Jets this season, they have given up just 13 points in each of their last 2 games, and they still found a way to lose. Okay, the Jets haven't scored an offensive touchdown in several games. It's one of those where New York's defense has only forced one turnover this season. The Jets are -9 in the turnover category, which is dead last in the National Football League. Jet quarterbacks have only thrown 7 touchdowns this season. The Jets as a whole only have 11 offensive touchdowns for the entire year. As far as yards per game, only Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Tennessee are averaging less yards per game on the season than the Jets. And as far as passing goes, the Jets are dead last in the National Football League with just over 143 yards per game. To give you an idea of how that works out, some teams in the NFL are getting 143 yards passing in a half. Okay, so I can understand where Woody Johnson was coming from with his comments, but I'm not going to put it all on Justin Fields. He has not played well. Do not get me wrong. But there have been some offensive issues. There have also been some offensive injuries. And at the end of the day, the Jets simply are not a good football team. To quote a former Jets head coach and one Bill Parcells, your record indicates you are who you are. And right now, the Jets are 0-7, which means that they stink. But like I said before, all of this falls into the lap of Woody Johnson, the guy who is calling the shots for this team. So if he wants to sit back and he wants to be critical of his starting quarterback, then you know what? Hey, Maybe he might want to take that mirror and look at himself and say, "Hey, what can I do to make this situation better?" Because clearly, what Woody Johnson has done for the bulk of his tenure as the Jets owner has not worked, and it darn sure has not worked for the last 15 years. You swung and missed on so many top picks. You swung and missed on so many quarterbacks. You think about it. The Jets had us convinced that Geno Smith couldn't play. He salvaged a solid National Football League career. The Jets had us convinced that Sam Darnold could not play. Look at what he did last year for the Vikings, and of course, right now for the Seattle Seahawks. And we can go on and on and on down the list. You think about Aaron Rodgers' time with the Jets and what he was, of course, with the Packers, and now what he is on his way out of the door in the National Football League with the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is what bad organizations do. The Jets are a bad organization, and it starts at the top with Woody Johnson. I get it. Woody Johnson definitely has the right to be critical of his players. It's never a good thing when you do it publicly, and it's never a good thing when you do it when you have the track record that one Woody Johnson has had during his tenure as the team owner of the Jets. Again, it's about to be 15 years with no postseason for the New York Jets. Just think about that. That is very hard to do, but the Jets have found a way to do it. And like I said before, the buck starts and stops with Woody Johnson. And as long as he continues to own the Jets, their their notion of trying to have some success is going to be very difficult. It's like somebody trying to climb out of a jar, or trying to climb out of a hole, and there's no ladder to get out of, like to get out of that hole. That's basically what the Jets are with Woody Johnson, and that's all I can say about it. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. And the same goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you are on Facebook, be sure to check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks again. Take care, and thanks for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast. Be well, everybody.